ministry and my family, which I think makes sense, but it didn't go to the random, things that I like to do on the side. It was kind of like the vision, the time, the passion that I have for the youth and, the community that I'm involved in. So I was a little surprised at kind of what I did have to write, but also that I felt pretty focused in on that and not just kind of jumping into a bunch of other random things that I feel like I could do.
I thought it was interesting that most everything that was on there wasn't tangible. There were a few things, but most were not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were of a person, what a person can give.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good insight.
Do you have any more of the books? Because I never got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I'm happy.
Everyone else?
Mine wasn't writing down a lot. That was interesting when you said maybe you were able to write down quite a bit. I didn't really think about that. Because it's like, you almost feel like you're being prideful if you're trying to figure out what you can give. I don't know.
That's why I didn't want you guys to feel like you had to share it. Because I think if I say that, you guys write a different list. Like, this is for your eyes only, but look at this list, absorb it, ask if it's accurate. And then your second question is ask, how do I give it away? And this is kind of your homework assignment now. And so we're gonna talk about next month. Because next month we'll go on to the next law, but for this month, one of your reflections is what did you do with this law? Besides just talking about it, how did you give it away? Who did you give it away? What did you learn about yourself? Were there aha moments? Did you find that you normally give this in value, or did you say, no, ironically, I never do? Because I think too often in ministry, we don't think we have something to give. I think it's very common to sit with donors and sit with the committee specifically, and sometimes leaders, and say, I don't know if I have anything to give you. And that, at the end of the day, is a lack of trusting in God's faithfulness to you. Because He has given you stuff to give away.
I think one thing that I wrote down was like, in terms of like, what do I get paid for and what do I give that is exceeding of that? Like, so what is my most precious, precious gift that I can give away? Like, what is the thing that I hold on to most dear that I don't want to give away? Because if I don't think in those terms, I think transactional. It's like, okay, you give me this, it's equivalent to about this amount of gift back.
It's interesting to say, yeah.
So when you say it's like, who did you give it away to? It's like, still what did you give away is still like the question mark that needs to be answered.
For you,
Yeah.
I think you'll figure that out. I think you have more to give than you think you do.
Are you saying you're thinking of like your list came up with what you could? You're trying to figure but you don't feel like you have?
No, I think in abstractly, it's kind of like, reading in your giving books where it's like, oh, sweet, if you give to me, well, like we want to make sure that we reciprocate your gift that you give to us in terms of like a donation. Hey, if you ever need babysitting, we've got a lot of kids, we'd love to help you out there. Where it's like transactional, where like I think personally for me, like what I value most maybe just this season is like my time. So in the book, when it says that, when Joe says to him, it's like, hey, I don't want to waste your time, he makes a comment back that says, you were unable to dictate whether you're wasting my time or not, only I can. It's like, that's a powerful statement to me. So it's like, what's my top commodity that I could give people that I hold back? It's my time.
A lot of mine were kind of based around like identity, like in like this idea of like, I feel like what's cool about our positions, we can give like this sense of like purpose to people, value, like this idea of presence, this idea like things like, I don't know. I feel like being in relational ministry, like we can provide a lot of that for folks. and it was just a good reframe for me, because a lot of times I do think in transaction, but like that's more like transformational stuff. Of like I could invite people into experiences, and I can be with people in a way where I have the time and the presence to truly like, and the perspective to like, to bring this sense of like community and relationship and purpose and value and identity, and like speak some of these things. I don't know. I think, and what we do calls people into something, into that, like that, where people, like I think about just, had a banquet this week, and talking with the folks who put it on, like they were just really like, had a sense of like value in putting it on, you know, and purpose, and like that's something that I have to give through this position, is I gotta bring people into roles where they can become more fully themselves and more fully alive and more participate more fully in the gospel, and giving their life away towards something good and beautiful. Like that quote that KJ loves, like the glory of God is a human being fully alive. I feel like that's something that we have to give as like opportunity for people to live into their like true self, you know, I don't know.
But then
That was a good
Toby would say that's transactional because you're getting something from it, right?
Yeah. Well, I wonder if like it's less, maybe.
That's how his brain works.
I'm
Yeah.
watching
That's
his
because
face.
But it's a way, I think if I'm gonna be like,
I just said transactions.
But the answer to like my question, like when I read that chapter, the first thing that came to my mind was whatever line was like, give them the pickle. It's like, you give them the pickle, dude. You know, like that's what I come to my mind, where it's like perceive like the value that you get. So, but I wonder if it's the value of what you give is dictated by the person that's receiving, that made the payment in the first place. Because if somebody doesn't value my time, it doesn't really matter. But it's like, what is the thing that they want? What are they getting payment for? And then how can you give them more? It's still transactional.
Maybe it's how your brain like functions. 'cause,
No, I
like-
go to transactions too.
Like, I
sometimes.
don't do transactions at all, like my natural thing is just to give, and then maybe think about it later or something. I mean, like, I'm kind of opposite of thinking of, I never thought of it as transactions ever.
Do you guys remember, have you ever read Tony Campolo? Yes, we
Yeah.
talked about him. Good. So Campolo, I forget which book it is, but in one of his statements in one of his books is that people largely have an incomplete experience with their relationship with God. And I think sometimes I wonder if we realize that we're a conduit for that we can help change that. So when someone comes and wants to be involved, like you're talking about, Curtis, you're helping fulfill their purpose by bringing them into the ministry.
Yeah.
There's lots of ways we can give, but that's why this is so hard, because I don't think your 2-minute paper is adequate. I think you have to put in more thought in this. And then you have to ask, who do I do this with? And I'd say, well, you have an easy constituency with your leaders. You can practice with your leaders, but it's bigger than that. It's a way of life. It's not just to grow your club or to grow your area. This is about growing people. And there's a big difference of, right, training people, training employees, and developing people. There's a big difference in that. And I think for years, when I was in your shoes, I made a lot of mistakes of just trying to train volunteers and to train leaders, when I wish I would have been in the business of developing people. You develop, right, you get stronger, everybody gets stronger. They get stronger, the whole organization gets stronger. And so Pindar's asking, the question Pindar is raising is, what you have to give is what you should give. And don't underestimate it. Don't put a value on it. Just give it. And don't worry about receiving. That means you're not concerned whether they value time or not. That means you don't care if they volunteer. You don't care if they come to your banquet. That's really hard. And I don't have that mastered. I'm still trying to figure out. I think it's also what Jesus talks about, abandoning yourself. That this is part of what that is. What does it mean to give with no expectations? It's very difficult. So Joe comes in as a go-getter to give, to get. And Pindar is saying, no, you give to give. You give without expectation. And don't worry about how it's going to be received. Don't worry if you think it has value. Give what God has given you. What God has given you, give it to somebody.
Do you think in that way we're kind of, in a sense, trying to give our job away, in a sense? I mean, like you're
That's one way to say
handing
it.
in a way, you're handing it over to people and empowering them in a different way than maybe they've ever been empowered before, and you back out of the way. You just
In some sense, but I think there's a difference also to develop followers and develop people that are gonna be leaders. Don't develop followers, develop people that are gonna become leaders.
Right, it can own it.
Surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, and you will be smarter.
Here they are.
Has anyone seen that?
Smarter.
Has anyone seen that golf movie, Beggar Dance?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, there's a scene there that I swear was in the theater that's been cut out of DVD, and I don't think I'm making up this scene. But there's a scene where, what's his name? Matt Damon's on the range. He's got the lantern out, and then Will Smith. By the way, the book is way better than the movie. It's a short book if you want to read it, but unfortunately, it's not a Jesus figure like we thought. It was more of a Buddhist figure. But so Matt Damon is this washed-up golfer who, well, I should say that. Matt Damon is a golfer that lived with untapped potential. And then he gets roped back into this big golf match with playing a famous golfer named Bobby Jones and Walter Hagen. Well, he goes to hit balls on the range one night, and it's really, his backyard, and it's really just pathetic. It doesn't look good. Then and he's got a little lantern, and it's 1930-ish, 1929, 1930, so all the clubs are wood and everything like this. And then out of the dark of this big open pasture, you see this shadow of this figure walking up, and it's Will Smith. And Will Smith is kind of this mystical figure that comes up, and Matt Damon's this pissed off drunk, and he's like, man, how did he say? He goes, why are you walking right there? I'm gonna hit you. Aren't you worried about that? He goes, no, that's why I was walking right in the middle, right in front of you, so you wouldn't hit me, right? To kind of put him in his place. But then there's a line that I swear I heard when that movie came out, and Will Smith and him are bantering, and Matt Damon's kind of irritated, and he's like, who's this Will Smith guy? Tell me what to do. And Will Smith essentially says, listen, you can either walk back to the place where you've always been, or tonight you can begin to take a few steps to where you always should have been, where you should be. And that's kind of what's going on with Pindar. Pindar is telling him, and by default, telling us that we can either take a step back to where we've always been, or we can do things that are uncomfortable and take a few steps forward to what might be.
So you've tried to find that on the DVD and you can't? Like you've tried to?
When I had the VHS tape, I wasn't on that either. I've tried to find that scene so many times. I watch that movie at least once or twice a year, and I've never come across that line again.
Wow.
If you find it, amen. I'll throw in some free copies. So many times I've tried to find that thing on YouTube to give.
So it's like this is the scene right here where he just came out of the woods. Is
Yeah.
it supposed to be right after that?
It's that scene. It's one of those. Yeah, it's one of those scenes where they're talking about it.
Can't watch it now, Barry.
If you find it, text me.
Here's
Text it
the
to me.
movie.
All right, you guys
Sounds
have
good.
important things to do, so I'm out of here. But I'll see you guys next month, I believe.
Yes.
We have a
Oh,
date and everything.
it's on my phone.
Okay.
But yes, I will email all that
All right.
information to
So
everyone.
this is your homework, and then read on to Law 2, but your homework now is practicing Law 1. All right, cool
Yeah.
guys, thanks.
I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, thank you guys.